Hello everyone. So welcome to another session of Syllabus Explained. UPSC, while giving us the syllabus, does give us a broad roadmap about a particular subject, but it leaves a lot between the lines. So as part of our Syllabus Explained series, we are here to actually bring to fore what lies between those lines, wherein we'll decipher the syllabus to its minutest micro details that can be managed, because the exam and the questions are not on the name of the units, but they correspond to certain topics and even micro topics, and hence a grip over these micro topics can really make or break your game in the mains examination. I'm Abhishiekh Saxena. So let's get started with the next unit that we have for us in our Syllabus Explained series, that is Unit 9, Personnel Administration, as part of Paper 1, Administrative Theory for Public Administration, optional. So what UPSC gives us when it comes to the syllabus? UPSC gives us just this: importance of human resource development, HRD, certain concepts and activities that are the part of this human resource development, that is recruitment, training, career advancement, position classification, discipline, performance appraisal, promotion, pay and service conditions. So we'll have to look at them both as concepts as well as activities, also holistically in the backdrop of public administration, and not just from the conventional management point of view. I'm sure a lot of you are management students, management graduates, postgraduates. Yes, certain conceptual lens will flow from areas that you have already studied as part of your higher education, but we'll have to look at it from a more practical, implementable point of view, especially with regards to public administration. Then the employer-employee relations, including the grievance redressal mechanisms. If you see, it is nothing but human resource development of the public administration. That is what we are referring to as the personnel administration. Concepts and ideas and practices. Concepts, ideas and practices. That means something that is practically going on. The code of conduct and administrative ethics. When it comes to the unit of personnel administration in paper 1, it has a great semblance, and I'm denoting it with a separate colors, with unit civil services in paper 2, and hence this makes this unit a very important unit, because the concept and the orientation in general that you will study here will be applied in the Indian scenarios as part of paper 2. You will see these things getting repeated and the manifestations of these concepts in the Indian administration paper 2 as part of unit of civil services. But like I said, there is always something to read between the lines. There is always something more than what meets the eye. So let us get into the micro details for the unit of personnel administration. The introduction and meaning. Need for reforms in personnel administration. the ideas around human resource development, features, benefits, evolution and development, and what are the efforts in India, so that we can easily develop a link with civil services. Paper 2. So the basic background setting of the human resource development, the personnel administration, what is the need, what are the features, how it has evolved as a part of a conceptual development of public administration. So herein we'll be invoking a lot of scholars that you have already studied in administrative thought, in introduction, in administrative behavior. We'll have to link it with concepts like morale, motivation, the scientific selection of Taylor. So all those ideas need to be invoked here and should be learned in an integrated manner. But there is a lot more. The functions of human resource development or personnel administration, that is resource planning, human resource planning, recruitment. What are the steps going down further within the concept of recruitment? Steps, some mechanisms like selection committee, job analysis and description, the ingredients of the recruitment, and how do you post a job. Then you create a short list, you review, and then finally you select. So the process of recruitment. And of course, this will have to be looked from 3 lenses. That is the lens of scholars and practical when it comes to these processes, because you will have one or more scholars saying something on this. And when it comes to the practical, right, the process. So these 3 areas and its manifestations, especially in India. So like I said, this has to be integrated with the unit of civil services, paper 2, right? What is a positive recruitment policy? What are the various forms and problems? In a similar manner or with a similar stencil, we will have to look at all the processes which are the part of personnel administration, training, career advancement, job positioning, so on and so forth. So training, the methods like on the job training, off the job training, various types of training, and how do you manage the performance of the employees and the performance management, the benefits, the risks, the challenges. So your questions will be formed not on a broad aspect of human resource development. Yes, there can be certain questions, but more often than not, the questions will be on specifics, like the types of training, right? And I'm talking about here questions in paper 1 as well as questions related to the unit of civil services in paper 2. Because the training is like a paid holiday. So it is delving into the characteristics of training. So the UPSC wants you to certainly scratch the surface and look beneath. Moving further, the performance appraisal as a topic, requirements, objectives, right? And within those objectives, work related objectives, career development objectives. The methods of performance appraisal, traditional method, graphic scale, ranking, force distribution, critical incident method, force choice rating method, nomination, work sample test. And each of these methods will be coming across like a framework. And hence, these frameworks will have their positive, negative, and analysis. So that needs to be done. You might be asked to compare the very methods of performance appraisal. Then ultimately, public administration is about the realization of goals. What is a result oriented? What is a result oriented performance system? And certain manifestations like ACR, which is annual confidential reports, which is very prevalent in Indian public administration. And of course, the evaluation of traditional methods and the modern methods that are coming up, like management by objectives, feedback method, assessment center method, human resource accounting, behaviorally anchored rating scale, bars, and finally see the performance appraisal in India and provide suggestions for improvement. So each of these methods, like I said, will evolve as a framework, and that will involve the studying of that framework. Moving further, the position and rank classification. This is again coming across as a concept as well as a practice. What are the advantages, disadvantages, right? Then linked to the positional classification, the idea of rank classification. Then the disadvantages of rank classification. Then the topics of pay and service conditions, salary, factors on salary scales, and then finally moving on to the topic of career development, because these things are linked. Recruitment, training, performance appraisal, classification, advancement, they are part of a chain. And hence, while going into the depth of them, each of them, we should not lose the track of the broader chain, and that is something which is indispensable. Moving forward, the idea of code of conduct and discipline, the practical manifestations which will be utilized both in paper 1 as well as paper 2 would be like civil services, conduct rules, all India service conduct rules. So such manifestations as well as the concept of what do we mean by code of conduct, what do we mean by discipline, what kind of a disciplinary actions are permissible in India, the code of conduct in India. Then the employer-employee relations, including the presence of employee unions, right? And other administrative structural aspects like joint consultative machinery, compulsory arbitration scheme, its salient features, the staff councils, its objectives, functions, the 3-tier machinery for national council, departmental council, district council, board of arbitration, industrial council, because these are nothing but various frameworks that come handy with regards to the employer-employee relations. And finally, the administrative ethics. Mind you, all of these things will be helpful in GS paper 4 as well, ethics, integrity and aptitude. But we'll have to discuss them both as concepts as well as practice and a process. And whenever there will be a concept in an option like public administration, there would be scholarly views. So certainly, if we go back to the original syllabus, what UPSC gives us, there is a lot that it doesn't. But it does get asked in the examination, right? So let us look how this unit fares in the examination. Now, if you see, on an average 40 marks, here is 41.11 out of 400. And the subtopics that have garnered the maximum when it comes to the frequency of questions: administrative ethics, though given in the syllabus towards the end, but you will have to use the learnings from across the board as well as from other parts of this unit to answer such questions. So it is the most frequently asked area. Another area that has garnered a lot of attention is the performance appraisal. After that, training, then employer-employee relations, and last but not the least, just the topic of career advancement. And it has been asked like this, and I'm talking about the past decade. If you see the positioning largely in part B, often one question at least in question number 5, that is compulsory, and rest of the times it is distributed across question number 7, 8 or 6 or 6, 7, 8. So we are looking at the part B of the paper 2. Over the past decade, it has not been featured in part A. It does not mean that it cannot, but that is the empirical reality that we have. Now, what are the sources? Of course, the IGNOU material remains standard. Mohit Bhattacharya, Arora and Goyal, I am saying for the reason that though we generally look at this book for paper 2, but when a unit is of such a character, the personnel administration, where we'll have to adopt a lot of Indian examples, and hence Arora and Goyal and second ARC comes here. And of course, the contemporary issues, because the question can be made from a current event and boiling it or drawing the thread from its conceptual background. So that's all for the unit of personnel administration. We'll meet in another session deciphering the syllabus of another unit for public administration optional. Thank you.